Item Number SCP-348. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-348 is to be kept in a standard locker at Site-19. Personnel wishing to conduct tests involving SCP-348 are to obtain Level 3 or higher authorization, and present a detailed list of intended test subjects. Description: SCP-348 is a white ceramic bowl patterned with light blue flowers, measuring approximately 20 cm in diameter and 9 cm high. While no maker's marks are present, the Chinese characters for "Thinking of You" are etched into the side of the bowl. When in the presence of an individual afflicted with a minor ailment or injury, such as a mild cough, runny nose, scrapes, SCP-348 will fill with soup. While the ingredients present within the soups produced by SCP-348 vary, young subjects, individuals between the ages of 4 and 18, have consistently stated they enjoyed the meal, sometimes stated that it reminds them of their parents' cooking. Subjects will finish the soup found in SCP-348 if allowed. Children who eat from SCP-348 several times often express a feeling of contentment, stating that though they are eating it by themselves, they do not feel lonely. Addendum SCP-348-1. SCP-348 was acquired shortly after rumors of a child living in apparently possessing remarkable recovery abilities came to the Foundation's attention. Investigation revealed that the child in question originally discovered SCP-348 in the attic of their house and had come to rely on it after receiving insufficient attention from their parents. The child's parents, both full-time workers, refused to comment on their relationship with the child. Resulting testing involving children was carried out under the guise of surveys to gauge the success of new food items offered at public schools. Addendum SCP-348-2. It has been noted that occasionally after soup produced by SCP-348 has been consumed, a message will materialize on the inside of the bowl. Words produced on the inside of the bowl appear to be printed on the ceramic consistent with existing markings. The message that appears will be in the language most familiar to the drinker of the soup. After several hours, or when SCP-348 produces another meal, the words disappear. Testing Log SCP-348-1323- Subject: 8-year-old female, afflicted with sore throat. Brief background: lives with and is on good terms with both parents. Notes: subject took approximately 30 minutes to consume soup, remarked later that sore throat seemed to have gone away. Next subject: 10-year-old male, recently injured self while biking, minor bruising. Brief background: lives with both parents, often argued with both. Notes: message appeared, don't forget to brush. Next subject: 11-year-old male, afflicted with slight cold. Brief background: lives with foster parents. Notes: message appeared, I'm glad you're happy. Next subject: 9-year-old female, afflicted with slight cold. Brief background: lives with both parents, said to be prone to tantrums. Notes: nothing of note occurred during or immediately after testing. Subject stated that while she didn't particularly care for the soup after tasting it, she still wanted to eat it. Follow-up investigations revealed that the subject recovered from the cold faster than was expected. Next subject: 6-year-old male, recently injured self while playing with friends, minor scrapes and scratches. Brief background: parents divorced, currently lives with mother. Notes: message appeared, I'm sorry son. Next subject: 7-year-old female, afflicted with cough. Brief background: lives with mother and grandmother, father deceased, traffic accident. Notes: message appeared, I love you. Addendum SCP-348-3. Testing has revealed that, in the event that someone older than 18 years of age attempts to consume soup created by SCP-348, the individual will find that they are less inclined to finish the meal. Some such individuals will remark that something is missing. Most will simply state the soup was nothing out of the ordinary. Further studies carried out with older subjects indicate that though messages will appear for individuals older than 18, the appearance of the message is worn and faded. See Testing Log. Testing Log SCP-348-2635-. Note: it was observed that though over 100 subjects were tested, fewer than 5 received messages from SCP-348. Subject: 30-year-old female, afflicted with headache. Brief background: on poor terms with both parents, refused to accept father's offer for career training, currently lives alone. Notes: message appeared, why? Subject: 35-year-old male, afflicted with cough. Brief background: parents divorced, visits father and stepmother once a month, does not visit mother on her insistence. Notes: message appeared, it'll get better. Subject: 40-year-old female, afflicted with sore throat. Brief background: moved away and became estranged from both parents, nevertheless sent money and took care of senior housing for both. Father recently passed away. Notes: subject noted the soup tasted initially bitter but was fulfilling in the end. Message appeared, thank you. Subject: 40-year-old male, afflicted with minor backaches. Brief background: murdered father approximately 1 year ago. Notes: subject tasted and then refused to consume soup, complained about the taste. Subject later developed mild stomach pains. After the contents of SCP-348 were disposed of, SCP-348 immediately filled with what appeared to be salt water, which remained for 3 hours before disappearing. Subject: 45-year-old male, afflicted with aches due to arthritis. Brief background: happily married, lives with wife and children, visits father once a week, with family, mother deceased. Notes: message appeared, I'm proud of you. Despite the extensive data gathered in testing, it is unknown whether the messages of SCP-348 has manifested originate from the father of the subject or SCP-348 itself. Addendum SCP-348-4 SCP-348 was once used in a test involving a 60-year-old man suffering from a terminal illness. The subject, a grandfather with multiple grandchildren, stated the soup produced by SCP-348 was the best he had ever tasted. Following the test, the subject reported feeling a sense of satisfaction and noted the pain caused by the illness seemed to have faded. The subject passed away peacefully a week later. Item number SCP-807. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-807 is to be kept in a locked safe deposit box at Site-19's High-Value Item Storage Facility. Standard positive action defenses, explosive, chemical, biological, and memetic, are to be in place at all times, according to standard operating procedure. SCP-807 may be removed from its storage container with proper authorization for experimentation. All personnel working around SCP-807 must be well fed and should wear oral restraints to prevent accidental ingestion. SCP-807's description: SCP-807 is a salmon-colored ceramic dinner plate 20 cm in diameter with the words "Last Chance Diner" printed on the edges in white. A small piece had been chipped out of one edge of the plate just above the letter D. There is no manufacturer's mark, and today all efforts to find the restaurant in question have failed. SCP-807 transmute any food served upon it into a variation of its original form with high concentrations of fat, sodium, and cholesterol. Once transmuted, the food in question is enhanced in flavor and aroma to preternatural levels, to the point where the desire to consume said food becomes nearly irresistible. Anyone who does consume said food, however, will undergo cardiac arrest within 5 minutes of finishing their meal due to sudden and massive fatty buildup in the major arteries. In some cases, immediate bypass surgery has been shown to be effective in saving the life of the subject. Addendum 807-A recorded transmutations. Cucumber sandwich made with fresh cucumbers, white bread, and 2 cc of butter. Fried egg sandwich. Vegetarian patty with fresh lettuce, tomato, and onion with 4 cc of ketchup, 4 cc of mustard, and 2 slices of dill pickle on a whole wheat bun. A Luther burger served on 2 Krispy Kreme donuts with 3 beef patties consisting of a total of 0.5 kg of beef, served with lettuce, tomato, onion, 8 cc of ketchup, 8 cc of mayonnaise, 8 cc of mustard, with a fried dill pickle on the side. Luther burger. Further testing of high-fat foods with SCP-807 had been suspended due to the high number of casualties. Item number SCP-871. Object Class Keter, Special Containment Procedures. Each recurrence of SCP-871 is to be maintained within a separate, locked concrete cell on a metal platter permanently affixed to the surface of an immovable wooden table. Each cell housing a recurrence of SCP-871 is to be monitored on a 24-hour basis via a closed-circuit camera, with individual feeds checked every 15 minutes. Upon creation of an instance of SCP-871, 3 Class D personnel are to be escorted by armed guards to its cell, where they are to be sealed with the instance and induced to consume it. No more than 1 hour may be spent performing this task. In cases where additional motivation is needed, the termination of one of the Class Ds assigned to an instance of SCP-871 is authorized. Upon completion of the consumption of an instance, no participants may exit its cell until both they and the room have been thoroughly searched to confirm that no portions remain. The platter, table, and room are then to be cleaned in preparation for the next instance. Class D personnel who prove cooperative in the consumption of an instance of SCP-871 may volunteer to participate in additional consumptions. Personnel exhibiting exceptional usefulness may have their monthly termination postponed. Such personnel are under no circumstance to be allowed to interact with any other SCP object. No desserts of any kind are to be served on-site at any facility housing a recurrence of SCP-871. Description: SCP-871 is a collection of 237 cakes. Instances of SCP-871 vary widely in appearance and in size, covering the entire range of foods described by humans as cake. The smallest observed instance of SCP-871 was a miniature cupcake with a mass of 15 grams. The largest yet observed was a 22-kilogram Banquet measuring 2 meters in length. When any instance of SCP-871 is consumed by a human or a collection of humans, it is replaced approximately 24 hours afterward with a similar cake. This cake will appear on a flat surface in the vicinity of the location where the previous instance was eaten. If any of these cakes is substantially damaged through any means other than being eaten by a human, including being eaten by a non-human animal, it will be replaced instantaneously. Instances recreated in this manner maintain the schedule of the original instance. The mechanism by which instances of SCP-871 is replaced is currently unknown. Individual recurrences of SCP-871 have been observed to mutate over time, varying in minor characteristics between each instance, with larger changes occurring at roughly 5% of replacements. No deleterious effects have been observed to result from the consumption of SCP-871, even in cases where several instances have been consumed, excepting those expectable from eating large amounts of cake. SCP-871's danger originates in the consequences of an instance not being eaten. Any instance of SCP-871 which is not consumed will cause a new cake to be created in its vicinity after 24 hours. While this is similar to its normal replacement behavior, the original instance will continue to exhibit the same properties, replicating if damaged and continuing to replace itself every 24 hours. This behavior has been observed in all cases where more than 10% of the mass of an instance remain unconsumed. As there is no known mechanism for halting SCP-871's replication, any uncontained instances could replicate exponentially, quickly becoming unmanageable. No maintainable plans for the containment of more than 20,000 instances of SCP-871 have yet been devised. It is estimated what an uncontrolled outbreak originating with a single instance could render the Earth uninhabitable within 80 days. Item number SCP-613. Object Class Euclid, Special Containment Procedures. Foundation assets are to monitor all reports of anomalies similar to SCP-613-1 and investigate if necessary. All instances of SCP-613 are to be kept in safe item storage in Research Sector 96. All individuals found to have knowledge of SCP-613 are to be interviewed, dosed with Class B amnesiacs, and released. Instances of SCP-613-1 are to be interviewed upon creation and contained in a climate-controlled environment for observation, experimentation, and research until such time as they cease to be viable due to spoilage. Instances of SCP-613-1 in containment are to be tagged with stickers listing their names and the temperatures at which they rose. Description: SCP-613 is a piece of brand pad paper showing a handwritten recipe for a normal loaf of wheat bread and the words, "Wonder Bread Recipe. Please refer to this paper for optimum results." There are at present 10 instances of SCP-613 in Foundation custody. All instances of SCP-613 are identical. The recipe is completely identical to other common recipes for regular loaves of wheat bread. However, when a loaf of bread is created by a subject who is only following directions from SCP-613 or memory of it without consulting any other sources, the loaf of bread will become an instance of SCP-613-1. SCP-613-1 are loaves of bread created while following the directions on SCP-613. Instances of SCP-613-1 can vocalize through unknown means and achieve self-locomotion by sliding across and rotating on surfaces, and are capable of sensation and perception of their environment. All instances of SCP-613-1 are fully sapient and have distinct personalities and identities unique from other instances. SCP-613-1 that rise at normal room temperatures will have average mental states and intelligence as expected of adult human beings. However, instances that rise at non-room temperatures will have chances of developing mental disorders and/or increasingly non-average IQ, with greater chances resulting from greater deviation from room temperature. There are currently no identified factors that appear to control whether the IQ will increase or decrease. Instances of SCP-613-1 separated by slicing or tearing, where the mass of the separated segment is greater than 50 grams, will form disparate identities distinct from the parent instance of SCP-613-1. Instances of SCP-613-1 produced in this manner have been observed to engage in erratic movements and vocalizations indicative of physical pain. SCP-613-1 are just as vulnerable to spoilage and other forms of damage as regular loaves, and will lose all anomalous properties when either completely spoiled or destroyed. All instances of SCP-613-1 do not correspond to any individuals listed in any database within Foundation access. D-Class personnel fed instances of SCP-613-1 report a taste virtually identical to normal white bread but often express discomfort at the instance's vocalizations during consumption. Instances of SCP-613 have been sporadically appearing internationally at a rate of once every 5 to 7 months. Operations are ongoing to investigate if there are any individual or organization actively producing or spreading SCP-613. Recovery. SCP-613 was first observed during a baking fair in Wisconsin, where one baker was reportedly selling living bread to customers, prompting Mobile Task Force to take action and retrieve the object, interrogate the person producing SCP-613-1, and dose all involved with Class B amnesiacs. Since then, more instances of SCP-613 have appeared internationally in possession of various individuals with avid interest in baking. All individuals in possession of SCP-613 instances have refused to reveal where or how they acquired them, or claim to have no knowledge of such. Item Number SCP-1417. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1417-1 and SCP-1417-2 are to be contained in a standard safe class holding locker when not in use. Any personnel wishing to make use of the objects for testing purposes must submit a summarized testing outline form to Dr. Chapman for approval. Under no circumstances are SCP-1417-1 or SCP-1417-2 to be taken off-site or used without permission. Any personnel found in violation of this protocol will be reprimanded. Description: SCP-1417 is a collective designation for two related objects possessing anomalous properties. SCP-1417-1 appears to be an ordinary banana, Musa acuminata, of the Cavendish variety, which is partially peeled at one end. Biological analysis reveals that SCP-1417-1 does not differ from an ordinary banana in any way, with its skin and exposed flesh consistent with biological norms. SCP-1417-1's anomalous properties include the inability to continue peeling it. When an effort is made to peel it, the peel is unable to be moved, with testers reporting an intense resistance on the part of the skin. Robotic attempts at peeling have also met with similar results, with pressure increasing equal to the resistance applied in peeling. SCP-1417-1 also does not suffer from standard biological decomposition. Since its acquisition by the Foundation in 2012, the object has not undergone any form of degradation, regardless of location. SCP-1417-2 consists of two pieces of laminated printer paper, 8.5 cm by 11 cm in size, accompanied by a single plastic chip. The second page contains a chart of several options with accompanying blank boxes. Anomalous properties manifest when the chip is placed on one of the boxes. The text of the page is as follows. Swiss Army banana, registered owner, flare gun single shot, tire iron, corkscrew, pocket knife, compass, only points north, rest. When the plastic chip is placed onto any of the blank boxes, SCP-1417-1 will take on the properties of the object selected. The banana itself will not change or display any new visual qualities, but will instead function as the selected object. For example, placing the chip onto the pocket knife box causes SCP-1417-1's peeled, visible end to become as sharp as a standard stainless steel quality knife, just as selecting the compass box will cause SCP-1417-1 to point its peeled end north regardless of the direction the object and/or owner is facing. When the chip is placed into the rest box, SCP-1417-1 will return to an inert state and appear as normal. If SCP-1417-1 is not placed into the rest position approximately once every 12 hours, SCP-1417-1 will develop a limp appearance and begin to turn green, becoming non-functional until the rest option is selected. It is also important to note that the plastic chip, when placed upon SCP-1417-2, cannot be removed by any means other than the owner physically removing it with his or her hand. The paper is apparently indestructible, with ripping, burning, and compacting attempts proven to have little to no effect. Alternatively, if an individual signs his or her name in the registered owner text box, SCP-1417-1 will respond to voice commands from that individual, so far as they match the commands found in SCP-1417-2. For example, saying or yelling REST while in the presence of SCP-1417-1 will cause the item to enter into rest mode. Further testing is in progress. SCP-1417 was discovered on 2012 after police responded to a hostage-taking incident in the town of Pennsylvania. First responders found a suspect, a man with a known history of mental illness, holding a neighbor hostage with what appeared to be a banana. After negotiation with the suspect failed, police attempted a raid on the home only to witness the suspect fatally slash his victim with the banana, causing death due to a severed jugular vein. Foundation personnel embedded within the coroner's office noted the unusual circumstances of the incident and retrieved SCP-1417-1 and SCP-1417-2 from the home of the suspect, with amnesiacs administered to witnesses as necessary. Suspect retrieved from incarceration and recruited in the Foundation program as D-23952. Item number SCP-604. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-604 consists of a set of objects which all exhibit the same properties and are contained together. Access is restricted to authorized personnel, and anyone attempting to access the containment area without authorization will be immediately detained. All interaction and testing must be cleared with Site Command. Any staff interacting at SCP-604 must submit to psychological testing before and after interaction. Requests for reports on testing events, subject reactions, and audio-video recordings must be cleared with Central Records, and may not be removed from the record viewing area. Description: SCP-604 is a set of tableware and dishes consisting of 19 plates of various sizes and designs, and 21 goblets, champagne flutes, and other wine glasses. Several are ornately gilded, studded with diamonds and rubies, or made out of fine materials such as porcelain, china, and crystal. Most are extremely heavy because of the weight of the rich metals. The cutlery, cloth, chairs, tables, and other items that made up the banquet where SCP-604 was discovered have no anomalous properties and are not contained. Whenever an edible solid is placed onto one of the plates or a liquid is poured into one of the drink vessels, the food will transform into human flesh, or the nearest equivalent organ, body part, or fluid. The change from one product to another seems to be based on similarity between color, smell, and composition, although vague symbolism and mental association seem to be occasionally involved as well. For example, fleshy steaks will turn into cuts from the thigh, and red wine or juices into human blood. This can vary between subjects, and the process as to how a change is determined is still under investigation. Because most of the plates are not large enough in diameter and circumference to create the entire form, most pieces manifest as human infant parts. Chicken wings as tiny burnt infant arms, chicken breast as filleted infant pectoral muscle or tissue from the buttocks, and so forth. However, tissues from adults does appear occasionally, often when the meat is placed vertically, sticking into the air. Based on analysis of the captured videos and logs, this is how longer, more mature parts were designed, although the plate's products seem only to be able to project beyond the surface straight up to a limit of 1 meter, around 3 feet. Vegetable and non-animal matter can be affected, however this is often selective and will only affect the main dish. This means prepared meat will retain the herbs, spices, toppings, sauces, and garnishes as it is transformed into human flesh. More than one piece of meat can be placed on SCP-604, but the results are varied, either creating separate pieces, incorporating them all together into one body system based on similarities in appearance, eggs and thin slices of beef turning into a female reproductive system, a pile of pig intestines, and a cow's stomach melding together to form a human digestive system, or choosing one to focus on, and leaving all the others untouched. Duck stuffed with Kobe beef, becoming an infant torso stuffed with Kobe beef. The other unique ability that SCP-604 possesses is any living creature placed on its surface or submerged inside liquid contained within a goblet will metamorphose into a moving human body part. It will be capable of kinetic activity, such as flexing, as in the case of a starfish that turned into a six-fingered baby's hand that opened and closed, and grasped at touch, or locomotion, no matter how awkward and slow it is. Severed areas do not bleed, and tendons and muscles still function in normal ways regardless of damage. Tissues will move by whatever means available, such as inching and crawling forward by curling and extending their body, as the moving finger with an extremely long nail generated from a lobster did, or the floating penis in a large goblet did to swim, its tip jerking up and down to allow it to propel forward. If no form of locomotion is possible, the flesh will simply squirm and jiggle, remaining slightly warm to the touch. A pulse can be detected, even when the object in question is not attached to a heart. Transformed items will continue existing as human tissue until consumed, removed from the plate for a long period of time, or expiring from shock and pain, as many seem to freeze and go into a catatonic state similar to shock when stabbed or bitten into, in the case of living tissues. Testing of stomach contents show that transformed items remain human if consumed. Acquisition: SCP-604 was acquired by Marshall Carter and Dark operatives on. According to seized records, it was removed from a secluded abbey in the countryside. The monastery and the surrounding village practiced the rites of communion with SCP-604 and consumed human flesh and blood, said by priests to be that of Jesus of Nazareth, by placing wafers onto the plates situated on the main altar and drinking blood from the goblets. The wafers were described to have a light spongy taste, and both manifestations caused extreme religious ecstasy when eaten, and hallucinations of the smiling Christian God lovingly offering his body, quoting relative scripture pertaining to the event, and speaking intimately of their sins and tribulations. It is believed that this experience is based on the individuals, as testing with identical properties has not reproduced this effect. Addendum 01. See supporting document SCP-604-XCH. Extract from document SCP-604-XCH, page 9. Marshall Carter and Dark employed SCP-604 at some of their more exotic auctions, performances, functions, and dinners during the meal portion. The likely reasoning behind it, supported by direct quotes, was that it was a once-in-a-lifetime event, and those attending were urged to partake in the cannibalism, for experience's sake, to safely test the waters of the forbidden, in much the same manner that adventure clubs offered bizarre meals such as caramelized insects. The taste and novelty of the flesh was so popular that it was declared an exhibit by the directors of Marshall Carter and Dark, and installed in a subsidiary restaurant, in the members-only section. The highly exclusive restaurant where it was located was called the Cannibal's Banquet and… Excerpt from supporting document SCP-604-XCH, page 32. As living foods were in great demand, Marshall Carter and Dark owned many specialized cooking and zoological facilities. Kittens, puppies, and breeds of tiny monkeys were used for child tissue creation. When larger parts were desired, guillotines were situated directly over SCP-604, as most parts continue vital signs a few seconds after removal. Certain specimens were also raised from birth in special cages, causing their bones to grow in a certain way, and kept alive while crushed in specific outlines, and fed via feeding tubes so Marshall Carter and Dark could dictate exactly what size and shape the results would be. Addendum 02. See Log SCP-604-02. Log SCP-604-02. A camera is pointing at a long table in a dim, crowded room. A waiter brings in a pig's head on a platter and then slides it onto SCP-604-04. The pig's head turns into a human's, that of an approximately 50-year-old man with pinkish skin, fatty cheeks, thick lips, and an apple in his mouth. Male 1. It tastes like pork. Why does it taste like pork? Just because they used a swine? Well, this really isn't official, is it? Head Server. No sir, I assure you that is what human flesh tastes like. Male 1. But are you sure? Maybe it's just being contaminated, or mimicking the flavor or something. Female 2. Honey, don't whine. Male 1. I just mean, how do you know what human flesh actually tastes like? This could be completely wrong. Has anyone actually tried real? Head Server. Don't worry, we have specialists. Male 3. To the women. Besides, all those penises you've been eating would taste like cucumbers then. Raucous laughter. Addendum 03. See Log SCP-604-03. Log SCP-604-03. Recovered from a handheld camcorder. Man wearing cooking whites. This is… and I am performing Test 12 on Curio B-26. Several guests find the resemblance between the food's original form and its final human product repulsive, and I have been tasked to find a way to make the flesh look as appealing and realistic as possible, avoiding the bloody or red hue that it occasionally acquires. To do this, I have chosen several foods that can be easily colored and sculpted to look like a head. Test 12 will consist of me baking a cake and carving it into the aforementioned shape, and then frosting it with a hairstyle and skin tone. Cook. Bring it over. Focus his camera on the cake. Well, there we go. Man in suit. The eyes are especially excellent. Cook. Well, thank you. I used a dropper to get the blue just centered. Ahem. Okay, place it on the plate. The cake is placed on the plate, automatically it sags and appears to melt, covering and dripping off the sides. Cook. Well, what the bloody hell just happened? Man in suit. If I were to venture a guess, I would say it turned into a pile of fats and sugars. Yup. Pokes. You can see some soluble lipids right there, and the yellow… Addendum 04. See Log SCP-604-04. Log SCP-604-04. Audio and video. Cook 1. Okay, sausages wrapped around the front and the other slabs of steak are held together with gristle. 3 cooks have put together some sort of meat sculpture in the shape of a human head. Cook 2. Dabs at blood running down raw meat parts with handkerchief. Cook 3. Let's just cover the ear area with the bologna. Cook 2. Are you sure a thin slice of turkey pastrami wouldn't be better? Cook 3. Positive. Gestures with knife. Pastrami would have to be pinned here. This way it lets me slice off the top like this so I can pour the brains in. Cook 2. It's the attention to little details that can make the difference. Cook 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. They lift up the meat sculpture and place it onto one of the plates. It turned into a perfect replica of a human head. Cook 2. Nice. Cook 1. Yeah, great work, guys. Cook 3. Needs hair, though. Guests like to see that. Rip it off. Maybe put some tendrils of… Cook 2. Bloody hell! Leave it be, man. It's fine. Addendum 05. See Log SCP-604-05. Log SCP-604-05. Man in suit. Test 32 on Curio B-26. We've shoved various slugs together into a wire frame of a human head. Couple keep falling out, but let's see what happens. Places slugs on plate along with Cook. Slugs all drop at once. Cook. Bloody hell! Man in suit. Seem to be little twitching gallbladders, and I would say that's an appendix. Cook. That one looks fucking gross, it's oozing. Man in suit. Duodenum, I believe. But yes, I don't think it should be bursting like that. Addendum 06. See Log SCP-604-07. Only audio on a tape cassette. Log SCP-604-07. Unidentified voice. Note: it is unknown if Curio B-26 could create sapient creatures. When we finally successfully do get a living head, the mouth and eyes could simply start opening and closing randomly, and it would drool all over itself, or maybe, just maybe, it would be perfectly intelligent. I know some of our clients are definitely hoping for the second option, and I have been instructed by the directors to bring it about as best I can. I would like to remark that when we placed a snake, upright on Plate 7, it did manifest as a human throat and the bottom part of a mouth, tongue intact, and began screaming and shrieking. but it was all incoherent, even though extremely loud and piercing. Could hear it all across the building, so I just don't. Addendum 07, C-Log SCP-604-10, only audio. Log SCP-604-10. Cook 1. Voice sounds strained and upset. The pile of leeches did not completely turn into a human head. The surface remained the same, but deeper down a human head was generated, underneath the first two layers. Cook 2. Help me get these things off before it scares a guest. Head. Oh Jesus, oh God, gah, gah, they're all over, get them off, fuck. Jesus, get the… It has been determined by now that at this point the head either began choking on some of the leeches, or its tongue was covered and drained of blood. Addendum 08, C-Log SCP-604-21. Log SCP-604-21. A waiter comes in pushing a cart with a wooden box on top. The box has several slots and holes open in it, and tubes trailing out, connected to IV bags and tiny batteries. A mewling comes from within. The box is lifted up over a plate, put on it, and then pulled off. There is a flash of some kind of twisted, shaved animal, but then a human head appears. The human head is of a man around 35, with thick black hair and sideburns. He has extremely pale skin and dark circles under his eyes. He is severed at the neck, which reveals muscle and a bloody hole. Head. Where am I? Who am I? What the hell is going… Begins looking around and turning up, down, and to the sides. Everything seems at a weird angle. Hey, what are you doing? Get that knife away from me. Waiter. Bon appetit, gentlemen. The head begins screaming. Item number SCP-2107. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. All instances of SCP-2107 are to be stored in a CNSI containment locker at Site-19. Footnote 1. CNSI means Compact, Non-Sentient, Inert. Any number of instances may be moved to a refrigerated CNSI unit in advance of experimental trials. Mobile Containment Task Force Theta-61, carbonated-based lifeforms, is responsible for coordinating routine screenings for new instances of SCP-2107 at retail venues, which are considered probable locations for appearance. Newly discovered instances are to be acquired by conventional methods when possible. For further quantities, or in cases where a retailer's proprietor is deemed likely to become problematic, acquisition protocols 0014, Covert Theft, 0015, Overt Theft, and 0047, Impersonation of Federal Agency, may be utilized with authorization from staff with security clearance 3/2107 or higher. Individuals exposed to the anomalous properties of SCP-2107 are to be treated with Class A amnestics and remitted to the nearest civilian hospital for any medical care rendered necessary following exposure. Description: SCP-2107 designates a soft drink brand known as Diet Ghost, which displays anomalous properties when imbibed. Footnote 2. Animal testing pending approval. SCP-2107 has to date only been encountered packaged by the individual can. Within 3 to 7 minutes of ingestion, subjects classified SCP-2107-A begin to experience paranormal activity that most often falls within the colloquial expectations of an individual being haunted by a ghost or other paranormal activity. The effect continues until an as-of-yet undetermined point in the breakdown of SCP-2107 within the subject's body, approximately 1 to 3 hours after ingestion. Footnote 3. Premature depletion of SCP-2107 through unusual means, such as emesis, gastric lavage, or the removal of organs currently containing the fluid from their appropriate bodily systems, causes partial or total cessation of the effect. The death of SCP-2107-A will result in total cessation of all effects caused by their ingestion. Research has confirmed that the intensity of the haunting effect, herein defined by the quantity of individual paranormal facets, the probability of physical harm, and the severity of said harm, is directly proportional to the quantity of SCP-2107 imbibed. SCP-2107 cans are the traditional variety used for soft drinks, being uniform in design and non-anomalous in composition and behavior. The can features a light blue background, with the Diet Ghost logo prominently featured. The catchphrase, "Scare your thirst," appears beneath the logo. Most instances also have a sticker on the can with the text, "Made with Natural Ghost," printed on it. It is unclear if cans lacking this sticker were distributed this way, or if the sticker was removed before acquisition. The cans bear no nutritional information. The liquid contents are non-anomalous in chemical composition and within normal parameters for a traditional diet soft drink. Discovery. Initial discovery occurred on May 13, 2012, when 7 cans of SCP-2107 were purchased by Foundation personnel at a local supermarket during a routine restocking of Site-19's recreational facilities. The partial remains of a senior maintenance assistant at Site-19 were found inside the van requisitioned from Site-19's vehicle pool for the purpose of the trip. The junior maintenance assistant who had been assigned for the restocking duty had gone back into the supermarket after having forgotten to procure a copy of the receipt of purchase for Foundation records. According to account, was alone for no longer than approximately 5 minutes. A majority of discoveries have occurred in convenience stores, with acquisitions from supermarkets and restaurants accounting for nearly all additional cases. Footnote 4. Despite the assessment of at least 46 anomalous events suggesting the ingestion of SCP-2107 as a causation factor, markedly few instances have been recovered outside of retail environments. Employees of retail locations where instances have been discovered have professed no prior knowledge of the product's existence, and records of inventory acquisitions have shown no references to SCP-2107. SCP-2107 has now been recovered from retailers in 37 states and 2 Canadian provinces. Production and distribution of SCP-2107 is currently under investigation. SCP-2107 Abridged Experiment Logs. Note: each experiment was carried out using 1 D-Class personnel, isolated in a SHA containment cell with closed-circuit digital recording. Footnote 5. Standard Humanoid Active. Unless otherwise specified, no individual D-Class subject is used for more than 1 trial. Extraneous, insubstantial, and redundant results have been omitted for brevity. A full version may be found in the SCP-2107 Extended Report. Trial Number: Quantity of SCP-2107 ingested milliliter. Result: Trial 1, 30 ml. Duration of trial was 1 hour 12 minutes. Subject reported audio-visual phenomenon including hearing her name spoken softly, shadowy figures at the edges of her vision, and a flickering of the lights within the containment chamber that was not corroborated by the recorded footage. Footnote 6. Please see SCP-2107 interview logs for unabridged transcript of post-trial debriefings. Level 3 security clearance required. Debriefing revealed the subject to have enjoyed the experience overall. Subject described the taste of SCP-2107 as bland but refreshing. Trial 6, 90 ml. Subject experienced intermittent activity similar to the phenomenon in previous experiments for over an hour before new effects presented. At 1 hour 20 minutes, the subject began to experience moderate bleeding from the nose without identifiable physical cause. Simultaneously, the recording equipment began to encounter interference of a magnetic nature that lasted for 2 minutes. This is noted as the first instance where activity was observable by non-SCP-2107-A sources in Foundation trials. The bleeding continued unabated for several minutes, causing severe distress to the subject. All effects ceased at 1 hour 28 minutes. Trial 7, 90 ml. Trial begins with activity patterns identical to those described by the subject in Trial 01. Subject's nose began to bleed at the 19-minute mark. At 23 minutes, subject began emesis due to a combination of distress and nausea caused by the presence of their own blood. This is evaluated to be purely psychological in nature and non-anomalous. Following emesis, a majority of the activity ceased. Subject reported still having intermittent hallucinations in his peripheral vision until 48 minutes. Trial 14, 150 ml. Subject began to experience phenomenon similar to previous trials at 2 minutes, which rapidly increased in intensity. The lights in the cell are seen to flicker briefly at 16 minutes by both the subject and supervising personnel. Subject reported the feeling of being lifted off the ground during this effect, but this is not visible in the footage. Quantity of activity is approximate to previous trials, but level of intensity is significantly higher as reported by subject. Effects began to subside at 54 minutes, and had ceased entirely at 59 minutes. Subject observed taste as average, but expressed difficulty in elaborating upon this description. Trial 31, 270 ml. Subject experienced no activity until 31 minutes, at which point all electronics within a 10-meter radius failed for approximately 17 seconds. When power returned, subject had fallen to the ground unconscious and the trial was ended. Personnel entered the containment cell and confirmed the subject had expired. Upon autopsy, subject's body was found to be void of most major internal organs. No incision marks or signs of trauma were present. Note: future experiments are suspended without authorization from staff with Security Clearance 4/2107. Addendum: December 27, 2014. Area personnel have encountered and acquired a previously undiscovered packaging variant. 15 cans were produced by a vending machine in area cafeteria. When the machine was opened for further inspection, no anomalous properties were discovered. These new instances of SCP-2107 feature a change to the design of the background, which now features white silhouettes of tombstones, cats, and cartoonish ghosts interspersed between iterations of the logo. Of note is the addition of new stickers to the can in the same font as the catchphrase text. These stickers include new promotional phrases including, "From the makers of Ghost," "100% more spooky," "Scaretifaction guaranteed," and "Your old favorite is back." All instances of SCP-2107 from Area are en route to Site-19 for containment and research trials to confirm whether their contents produce the same anomalous activity as previously recorded instances. The addition of vending machines to the list of Providence locations under investigation, with revisions to object class and special containment procedures awaiting approval. Item number SCP-989. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-989 is to be stored in Secure Locker in Site-22 until further notice. Secure Locker is to contain an electronic scale, which is to report the current weight of the object at all times. Any change in the weight before testing and after testing that is plus or minus 1 gram beyond test materials removed is reported immediately, and containment breach protocols should be enacted. Level 2 clearance is required for research involving SCP-989, with written permission from a Level 3 staff member. Description: SCP-989 is a compound of C12H22O11 sucrose, interlaced with a substance with the chemical formula H7XE2O4C8. The method by which this molecule was created is currently unknown, as the current principles of chemistry disagree with its composition and structure. Research is ongoing. SCP-989 is within an ornate silver shaker, with the logo for Marshall, Carter, and Dark engraved on the bottom, hereafter referred to as SCP-989-2. There are no visible seams in the shaker, and as such there is no way known at the moment to refill SCP-989-2, though testing at this point has shown no measurable change in weight of the object, suggesting that the substance may replenish itself. This replenishing effect is only observed to occur if the object is left standing for more than 2 hours without movement. Whether this is a property of SCP-989 or SCP-989-2 is unknown at this time, but it is hypothesized that the interaction of the second compound with the materials of SCP-989-2 creates this effect. When SCP-989 is elevated and released, SCP-989 enters suspension within the air. The crystals of SCP-989 surround whoever threw SCP-989 into the air, and remain there for precisely 7 minutes, 18 seconds. This has shown no adverse effect on the thrower so far, as SCP-989 will not come within 2 mm of the thrower, even if they walk through the cloud of SCP-989. If any other living being enters the cloud of SCP-989, however, SCP-989 will surround the subject and force its way into the mucous membranes of the subject, causing severe lacerations and coating the area with crystalline formations, akin to what is colloquially known as rock candy. This is uniformly non-fatal, however, and leaves the subject blind, deaf, with moderate difficulty breathing, and in severe pain. Attempts to remove the crystalline growths have proven unsuccessful thus far. After exiting suspension with the air, SCP-989 will deposit on any horizontal surfaces until thrown again, wherein it will return to being in suspension. This effect can only occur if SCP-989 is dry, as the solution of SCP-989 water did not show any anomalous properties. SCP-989 was recovered from the home of in Wales, after several missing persons cases were connected to, and a possible link to Marshall, Carter, and Dark was confirmed. Also recovered were letter and receipt from Marshall Carter and Dark Limited for the amount of… To date, no other samples of SCP-989 have been recovered. Addendum 1. The following is from a letter recovered from the home of… To a Mr. We thank you for the purchase of this fine item. I hope you will find it to your liking, though I'm sure your dinner guests will certainly find it interesting. If we can be of assistance setting up any sort of soiree for you, we of course would be more than willing to assist. We look forward to continued business with you, and trust that you have taken steps to avoid the attention of a certain group as we advised. Sincerely, Mrs. Marshall, Carter, and Dark.